Hello there, Keith Smith here. What I want to talk today about are the parts of a bullwhip. I get a lot of questions all the time from people about what should I order, what should I want, what kind of whip should I get. First thing I always ask them is, what do you want to do with the whip? And then after we start the conversation, it becomes pretty obvious that they don't understand the parts of a whip. So I want to cover that today. All right, here we go. So what I'm going to be demonstrating on today is this beautiful 7-foot 12 plat kangaroo hide bullwhip made by Blake Bruning of the Trinity Whip Company. This is about 4 years old and still looks brand new because it's made well. All right. So first, you've got the heel knot. It's called different things, butt knot, whatever. I like to call it the heel knot. This one's a really nice size. I see some that are way too big, and I also see some that are sometimes too small. That can be a problem because you want one that's a nice size so it's comfortable in the palm, because with the proper whip grip, it's going to go right about there in your palm. So if it's way too big, it's going to be floppy. If it's way too small, it's going to be hard to get a grip on. So this one, I think, is just about right. So that's the heel knot. Then you got the handle, okay? Then you've got the different knots. These are called the transition knots. There are two on this particular whip because they are holding in place this little trinket, and that is called a ferrule, okay? It's not worth anything. It's just decoration. It catches the light. It makes a pretty sight, okay? But they aren't functional. You don't need it, okay? It's just decoration. But this particular one has it, and I think it's really cool. Okay, so to review, we've got the butt knot or the heel knot, whatever you want to call it. We've got the handle, we've got the transition knots, and we've got the ferrule. Then we've got what I consider to be extremely important, okay? This is the transition. Why it's called that, that means it's transitioning from the hard handle to the thong or the flexible part of the whip, okay? So to transition from solid to flexible. And this one has a great transition. This is what I like to see. Nice and round, firm but not too firm, but you don't want it floppy either. If you don't have a good solid transition, it's very hard to hit targets because it just won't be accurate. And that's what I'm into. So this one has a very nice transition. So like I mentioned, after the transition, you go into the flexible part of the whip, and that's called the thong. So it goes down, it tapers down, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. That's why the whip really slices through the air. At the end, you've got the fall hitch, okay? This is where the thong ends, and you start with the fall. So to do that, there's this basically a set of knots, and then the fall goes through there, and it's very intricate and it's tied beautifully. This one's very small, so it's probably a little bit difficult to see. So just suffice it to say that you want a good fall hitch, so it's small, tight. That way it doesn't catch a lot of drag and slow down your whip shot. So then you've got a fall, okay? A good fall also tapers. Starts out kind of thick, it's beveled, and it gets smaller as it goes down. Proper size is about 31, 32 inches, okay? Then at the end, you've got a cracker or a popper, whatever you want to call it. So those are the basic parts of a whip. Now what I haven't mentioned before is how important the outside is, okay? Think of a whip like a person, which is how I think of it. The outside of this whip is beautiful, okay? It's got 3 colors. It's cut beautifully. The knots are gorgeous, everything about it. And that's great. The outside is great. But without the internals, without the inside being good, the outside's worthless. That's why whips are just like people. The best stuff is on the inside. Okay? There are several layers in this whip. I'm not going to go into the details, of what's inside of a whip, but there are bellies and bolsters and cores. Oh my gosh. And it takes a master whip maker to make great internals. That's why you see a lot of whips and they just look like garbage, because they're not made properly inside. They might look beautiful on the outside, but you can just hold one up and see that transition isn't good, and you know that's because the internals are bad, okay? So that's how I like to think about whips, is they're just like people. What's important is on the inside, not the outside. Now, it's great to have a beautiful overlay on the outside, but I'm much more concerned with the internals, okay? This one happens to be really great, and you want to get with a really quality whip maker that can give you good internals and a beautiful overlay. It's nice to have both, right? So, those are the main parts of a whip. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, bye-bye.